Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. I hope everybody had a really great weekend and enjoyed some of the nice weather that's out there. I've heard it was just kind of going around. This week, we are kind of jumping into the philosophy of plan presentation, getting into that. There's a lot of changes coming up. We know the big 4-1 is around the corner. We should have a really busy short-term day today, a really busy short-term day tomorrow. But again, since we can't sell short-terms on the 29th, 30th, and 31st, these are going to be the big days for that. So that being said, I thought we'd jump in with a pretty good quote there. So there is no sale without the story, no knockout without the setup. That's going to be something that we're going to talk about today. A lot of times when it comes to presenting the plan, people are worried about getting the facts right and hitting it really hard. When you're actually doing any sales solutions, it's more about telling the story. I went to a kind of like a leadership summit this last week. And in that, one of the things that they talked about, I went through an hour-long presentation with a lady who was a neurolinguist, and she was also a cognitive scientist, went through a lot of different statistics about how people think, how they remember. And at the end, she asked us, keep in mind a whole room full of people who, that this is our job, what we could remember. And all of us remembered the story she told. We couldn't remember the different T variables. We couldn't remember all the different graphs, even though we had them in our handouts. But the things we could recall right away were the stories. I thought that was pretty powerful, considering you're in a room full of, cognitive scientists, and they can't even remember that, when we're talking to our consumers, that we really have to make sure that we are storytelling. We are storytellers. That is what sales is. So we're going to kind of jump into that today. So that's why I thought we'd start off with a pretty good one about setting up. So happy Motivation Monday, everybody. For those of you that this is your very first Motivation Monday, this is how we go through. We're going to start with the tip of the week. We have kind of a few going on today with the big 4-1 around the corner. We're going to go through what our sales trends are. Our sales leaders, which we have one lady who, she's keeping it pretty repetitive there in the fixed benefit. And in the end, we're going to end with a sales technique, which is going to be how to effectively present a plan so your clients will actually purchase. The tip of the week, as far as it goes for last week, was about CBL, or Colorado Bankers Life, how they have that really strong critical illness, and that is one of the things to take a look at. It's really about going through and expanding your portfolio that's going to be as effective as possible. Yes, we like to have our one product that we're really successful in, but it's also making sure we have a really good state footprint. CBL is actually what we sell the most of with critical illness. It is one of the highest commissioned critical illnesses out there in the whole marketplace. So if it's one of those things that you are not selling critical illness and that's something that you are not completely comfortable with, this is a really good starter one. Go get contracted with Colorado Bankers Life. At the very end of the presentation today, I will give you the number to our agency services, and what they can do is they can make sure that you get exactly what you need to get appointed with Colorado Bankers Life. We just call them CBL here. So the tip of the week for this week, there's two going to go on. First one, as of Saturday, that is 4-1, there's going to be some changes to the NatGen short-term plan. The reason why I bring this up, that it's about 80% of our short-term medical sales. So they're going to change how long you can have the policies. Keep in mind that today and tomorrow, we can write those policies for as long till the end of December. So we can write them out to December 31st. But starting on Saturday, what's going to happen, or actually it'll be really Wednesday, since the next effective start date on Wednesday would be 4-1, that the longest length of these policies are going to be 1 day less than 3 months. It's a law change. So it's nothing that the company is doing specifically. It's a law change that's going to go into effect. They were expecting that the Trump presidency to overturn it, but they did not. So it has to go into effect there. So it will be 1 day less than 3 months. They're also adding 2 new deductible policies. They're adding a $10,000 and a $25,000 deductibles. They are 100% co-insurance options there. Be kind of nice. It's a good thing to give to your clients. It's really inexpensive. I've been running quotes on them. They're really cheap. It's going to be great to match that with the fixed benefit policy. They're going to keep the fixed benefit policy. The short term will fall off. There you go. You're making yourself a pretty good bundled package there going on. They're also introducing a single pay option. I know that's one of the things that we here at AHCP have been having kind of a pain point with them for, saying we want our clients just to do a big one and done. So there'll be a single pay option for the short-term medical only. Keep in mind that if you are selling the short-term with other supplement products, the other supplements are not going to be a single pay option. It will only be the short-term. And they're also removing, OV there stands for office visits. So the first benefit office visits in most states, they're going to completely remove those. Currently the policies have 3 office visits at $50, 2 office visits at $50 for guaranteed issue. Those are going to be going away. That being said, the company is introducing, let me pop here to the next slide, a brand new product called a hospital expense protection plan. That is a lot to say, especially on a Monday morning, 8 o'clock here in California. So that's a lot to say there. So they're introducing the new hospital expense protection policy that is going to give you the ability to add on doctor office visits. It will be the same concept. First dollar doctor office visits, they get 2 of those per year at $75 if you look on level 3, 4, and 5 there. So these are going to be some confinement benefits added, hospital admission benefits, as well as those doctor, x-ray, and laboratory benefits. So something to take a look at adding. It's going to automatically show up if you start quoting out there for the 4/1 effective date. So wait till the site will go down this weekend. You can start seeing this new product out there. On the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar that we're in right now, I've attached the brochure for this new product if you wanted to take a look at that. Also the new plan grid, so you can see what states this product is available in. Any questions about that, you can always reach out to us. We have really good contacts for that, so don't hesitate at training@ahcpsales.com. And now to take a look at the trends that are going on. So last week was kind of, put it nicely, it was a dull week, really dull week. We had no change in short-term medical. We had no change in our fixed benefit. Literally, we were like up and down just like 1 or 2 policies. It was so consistent. It was kind of ridiculous. We had a slight increase in the accident sales, which is always good. So still with the plan enhancer about being 50% of our sales, and that is through the National General there. And that's the one that has those 2 riders, that sickness hospitalization rider and that cancer, heart, and stroke rider. There was no change in critical illness, still with leading with CBL. I think they're about 92% of our sales last week, so a pretty high amount when it comes to just critical illness. And then a decrease in dental. Honestly, I feel like now's the time that we should be raising the dental with everything going on, knowing that dental increases retention. You know, that Emeritus webinar where they went through their really awesome dental products. So I know it's kind of a little thing, you don't make a lot of money off of it, but long-term you really will psychologically because it's going to increase retention. They're gonna think, hey, you know, that this dental comes with my accident policy, comes with my critical illness policy, and they'll just keep everything since they actually want to use it. One of the nice things about supplements and why we're doing such a good job selling them is that they are portable. So that accident, that critical illness, and that dental, they're portable. So your clients, if they do have a short-term and it terms, they can take these and bring them onto their employer-sponsored coverage if that's where they decide to go to. Make sure to sell them. If the small things like that, it will make the world a difference. So kind of a dull week. I expect this week to be a little more exciting with the big, 4/1 going around the corner. That if you have any clients who are on the fences, make sure to contact them, call them up right now, let them know what's going on. That they have till tomorrow, at the end of business tomorrow, to enroll into a short term that's going to last till December. If not, the longest they can get is 1 day short of 3 months. Now for our sales shoutouts, we had pretty good fun with the sales shoutouts. So we had in our short-term medical, we had David Taxer, there we go, leading number 1, was kind of going on number 3 for a while, but you know what, David, good job. You jumped all the way up to number 1, selling there with the NatGen short-term. Susan, good job going in there on silver, number 2, leading with the golden rule short-term. And Wendy, kind of a little bit of a fall from last week, Wendy, but no problem. I have faith in you getting back up there, leading with National General as well. Now with our limited benefit products, I'm sure we're all gonna get sick of seeing this name, Katya. They're in number 1, 3rd week in a row, leading with NatGen fixed benefit. And I will tell you, she is selling more in that fixed benefit than we are in our short term. What's important? You know, Katya, you were very nimble. You were able to move over to what's changing on in our economy. We need to be able to be nimble like she is. So good job, Katya. Leading there with gold. They're in silver, Robert, with our limited benefit. And then Wendy, you know what, your name's still on the board there. That's what matters. So Wendy's leading in both the short term and the limited benefit. So good job. Good job to you guys. Keep up the good work. If you need any help on trying to figure out how do you actually position a limited medical product, always reach out, let us know. That's what we're here for. So today is day or I guess the third Monday in a row that we are talking about our effective sales process. We started a few weeks ago. Every effective sales process has 3 different sections. They have an introduction, they have a fact finding, they have a plan presentation, and a close. One thing about doing a intangible, since that's what we sell, items that we can't physically hold, an intangible sales process is that what we have to spend a lot more time on is actually doing our fact finding, which we talked about last week, and that is loaded on our website if you did not watch it. Fact finding is honestly about 70% of our time, 60 to 70% depending who you're talking to. The other important part there is the plan presentation. Presenting the product for a way that your client can understand. One of the biggest issues, we work directly with the retention team, and what they always tell us is that the reason why people cancel is that they don't understand. Now, there's a few different things that they don't understand, is that they don't understand how the benefits work. So maybe their agent presented it to a point where they don't understand, or they don't understand actually the billing. That's a very large one as well. They don't understand multiple drafts. So our goal when we are presenting this product is for them to comprehend it. You will have a lot higher retention rate, which obviously we get paid on retention. We don't like chargebacks, at least I don't. If you do, sadistic, you have your fun with that. I don't like them. I try to make sure I can do everything on the front end to eliminate them. The way the sales process works is that we are working on getting our objections on the front end. So when we get to the close, we can just kind of skirt through it and not have our clients sit there panic at the close. People naturally panic if you're asking them to make a decision, but if you ask them to make small decisions throughout the whole process, at the very end, it's a lot easier for them. So when we hit up the introduction, we went through the concept of introducing yourself, going through why you're calling, going for the WIFM, which is what's in it for me, why the heck should they care about your phone call, and then what your process is. You'll notice that at the end of almost every one of these steps, we go through what our next steps in the process are. Again, it's a psych trick. What we're trying to do is let the person relax and get down their anxiety. Everybody gets a little bit of anxiety when they're talking to salespeople. If I explain, hey, this is what's going to happen next to you, you have nothing to worry about, this is completely normal, the clients are going to go with it. It's going to make it a lot easier for them. Next, we get into the fact finding. The steps that we talked about is there's 5 main things we're going to look for. And yes, it gets a lot more in depth than that. But on a very shallow, 10,000 foot level, it's previous insurance, why they're calling, how are they going to use the product? We call it consumption. What is their budget? Because, if their budget is $10 and I don't have a policy at that, we should probably, defriend each other from Facebook and move on. And then start date. When do they actually need the policy to start? That's going to help us set everything up. What we're jumping into today is the plan presentation. Keep in mind, here's something with the plan presentation. You're going through fact finding, you're finding out all the information, you get your policies pulled up. You should know by the end of fact finding, and you'll get good at it, don't worry. But by the end of fact finding, I should have everything pulled up. I should have my supplements pulled up because I need to know I'm within budget. I need to know if I'm doing short-term and a fixed benefit, just short-term, just fixed benefit, or hey, just major medical. Whatever I'm doing, I need to have that pulled up by the end of fact finding. So when I go into my presentation, it can be smooth and seamless. So let's jump into that. So the plan presentation on a very high level, again, is going to be broken into 5 steps. It's going to be broken into recommendation, the benefit usage, their ancillary or supplements. There's a big step called the confirmation of benefits. So getting them to say, yes, honestly, the confirmation of benefits is your close. I mean, flat out, that is going to be your close. We'll talk about that. And then also the price. Keep in mind, since we asked what their budget was in fact finding, they don't need to know the price right away, right? Because that's what everybody does. So what I see a lot of agents do is, they find out the budget's $500 and they start the plan presentation being like, well, I found a policy here for $470 and this is how it works. Your client will quit listening to you the second you say the dollar amount. It's actually kind of interesting. You're literally, when you tell them, hey, this is how much this policy is, you've lost the client's attention span. That's why we wait to the end to tell them the price. Because I want them to listen. I want them to go through the benefits. When I ask for a confirmation of benefits, I'm sitting there saying, hey, I went through everything that you told me was your pain points, and I know your last pain point is price. I got that. And you know what? Here's the best part. You told me what that is, so I kept it within your budget. So I want you to ignore that part. do the benefits work for you? Because, hey, what happens if the benefits don't work? They're not going to keep the policy, right? I don't care if I can sell them that $470 policy and then they keep it for 20 days and cancel. That just hurts me. I want them to keep the policy for a long term. So taking a look at the very beginning on the recommendation, the explanation, you have to start by really asserting yourself that you're a professional and you should be listened to. So you can start with a recommendation. And mine kind of goes like this. So the package I'm going to recommend for you is, or I'll start with, I have a recommendation, it's going to be an excellent fit. This is what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to go through a full explanation of all the benefits in this policy. And as long as you like what you hear, we're going to go ahead and get you applied for that policy today. So the package I'm going to recommend for you that's going to best suit your needs is going to be, and I start with either my short-term, my major medical, or my fixed benefit, whatever my leading product is. Okay. Here's one thing. So you want them to know that you are professional, but here's another thing you should do. Make sure that you let them know, let's jump back, that it's customized. Okay, why should they be working with you? What is something that you can do over any other agent that you can customize these policy? You're a broker. Brokers are the best people to work with if you're trying to get a really good comprehensive package. Why? Because you are contracted with more than one carrier, right? They can go through you and you know what the damn best dental is. You know what the best accident policy is. You know what the best critical illness policy is. You can customize it. You can make sure it's right. You're going to know the ins and outs of all these different policies where if they call up Blue Cross Blue Shield, guess what? They're only going to get Blue Cross Blue Shield. And we know Blue Cross Blue Shield, they have some pretty strong products, but not all of them are the best. Not all of them are the least inexpensive. Sometimes when it comes to claims, they're a nightmare. You don't want your clients to deal with that. So you know what? It's a package that you are going to recommend for them, that you do this by making sure that you're a professional and it's customizable. That way too, if they don't want something like, I don't know, dental, they know that you can take it off. So with that being said, what we're going to be going through here is that we're going to be going through and telling them stories. You talked with them in fact finding. The biggest thing that I notice for agents when it comes to retaining policies is that if they don't tell their clients, and it's the number of 2, I know everybody has the law of 3, the nature of 3, but if you don't tell them 2 stories about themselves, not about you, about themselves, they don't care. They just don't care. Amateur move right away is saying, hey, you know what? I had this accident policy. I fell down the stairs and it paid my claim. I don't care. I just don't care. I want it to be about me as the client. I want it to be about me. So when you were going through fact finding and figuring out, hey, how many times have they gone to the doctor? How many times have they hit their deductible for $1,000 in the last year? You're supposed to be finding stories. So you can say something like, when little Timmy fell down the ladder there when he was trying to help you clean the gutters, and that you had that huge accident bill, well, this is how the policy is going to work for you. Because you started with them, they're entertained, they're playing with you. Okay, so we need to get into benefits, right? There are going to be 7 benefits that people actually care about. The biggest one is doctor. What happens if I'm going to go to a doctor? How much is that going to cost? Is my doctor in network? I always check networks as well. Prescriptions, hospitalization. What happens if I get hospitalized? There's network on their labs. Some people really care about labs, those emergencies, and then whatever the max benefits are. Those are things that everybody's going to care about. So if you are presenting and talking to somebody about a short-term policy, this is how to kind of make it work. You need to start with a large example. I use $100,000 every time. Why do I use $100,000? Because most people can do numbers with $100,000. What I'm doing with that is I'm going through and I am breaking down what the plan deductible is. I'm breaking down what their coinsurance is and their max out of pocket. I want them to understand, right? This is something, and I don't like to really use insurance words. So I go through and I try to tell them the story. So earlier you told me you were painting the house a few years ago, you fell and you had to spend 4 days in the hospital. So let's say that happened again and the bill was $100,000. This is how it's going to work. So the deductible, which is the first part you pay on this policy, is $2,000, okay? So if something bad happens, bam, that's what you're gonna pay right away. Followed by a coinsurance of 80%, 20%. So 80% is what the insurance company is gonna pay, 20% is what you're gonna pay, until you pay an additional $3,000. So $5,000 out of pocket. So that $100,000 bill, you're only going to be responsible for $5,000, and the insurance company is going to pick up the other $95,000. How great's that? To tell you how great it is, also with this policy, what I've did is I kind of put insurance for your insurance on there. So I put an accident medical expense. So you fell down and that was due to medical, that was just due to an accident. Instead of it being $5,000, you're only going to pay $250, and the insurance company is actually going to pay an additional $4,750. So that's what I go through. I do large examples. That's my first thing that I like to tell them a story about is, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is how your deductible works. This is a story related to you. The second one is going to be going to the doctor, and I pick something common like a cold or flu, okay? Most people go to the doctor if they have a really bad cold or flu. Most people's kids will go to the doctor if they have a bad cold or flu. So what you need to do to get them to listen as far as it goes with the plan presentation with short-term medical is earlier you told me. That is one of the most powerful phrases in sales. Earlier you told me. Because they said, hey, guess what? You're listening. I actually care. I'm going to pay attention. I can't tell you how many agents just sit there, throw down the brochure and just start bamming through the benefits. Worst thing you can do. I will tell you, your clients, if you're sitting there going, hey, I have a 40% retention rate, that's pretty good. It's garbage. It's garbage. You want to be up there. You want your clients to be able to understand, yeah, you can still throw down the brochures, but go through, tell them stories, make it relatable, make it about them. Short-term medical, I mean, we've had that down. I'm not going to lie. We've been killing short-term medical, but the one people really are going to start struggling with is how to do it for the limited medical or the fixed benefit plans. It's going to be pretty similar. Okay, so if you guys don't know this, I used to run a call center that was specifically for limited benefit products, right? We were ridiculously successful. Why? Because we literally would start our conversation, well, earlier you told me. And then we go through what are called realistic benefit examples. So we go through what is something that could happen that's not going to be, absolutely atrocious, because we both know, and we all honestly know that if they fall and the end of the world happens and everything breaks in their body, a major medical policy is going to be the best. Okay, if they're falling and get a $250,000 accident, a short-term medical policy is going to be really great. But if they want to just go into a doctor, if they want to be able to use the benefits, they have to pay in on both of those policies, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. They don't have that money. So what we do with limited benefit products when we present them is we go through realistic examples. Okay, so hey, you're going to a doctor, this is how it's going to work. You need to go in for blood work, this is how the policy is going to work. Earlier you told me that one of the things that you're really worried about is when you fall off and your friend had that $11,000 bill. When they had that issue, this is how the policy is going to work. For every day you're in the hospital, you're going to get $2,000. Your friend was in there for 3 days, paid 11 grand. This policy is going to give you $6,000. On top of that, it's going to give you an additional $1,000 for just being admitted. So that $11,000 bill went down to $4,000. In addition, and that's when you get into your supplements. One of the big things too with limited benefits, because they are inexpensive, and they will go through and they will tell their friends, I get the most referrals off of selling limited benefit policies because of their price, which can be dangerous. You have to go through and you have to let them know that, hey, in the case of the biggest what if going on, this type of a policy may not be the best fit for that. I like to be completely transparent. Don't sit there and make sure that they understand that and hit them over the head with it and hit them over the head with it and hit them over. No. You go through and you do, this is how the benefits are going to work. But hey, you know what? You fall off the ladder, it's $100,000. A short-term medical might be a better fit, but because of whatever they told you, maybe they don't have a qualifying life event. Maybe they don't have the budget. Maybe they had really bad experiences in the past. Tell them, because of what you told me, that's why I went with this policy, because you have to keep it professional. That's the big thing with limited benefits is being transparent, being professional, and relating it back to them. If you do it like that, you'll sell them a lot easier. As well as the plan presentation, big thing, always add the supplements. Give them a clear expectation of what they do and why they should have them. Tell the story. That's kind of what that last slide said, is just tell the story. Go through, present them the short term, and then tie in the supplements. What I see a lot of agents do is they do only the short term, and then they do only the supplement, the accident, then they do only the critical illness, and then they do only the dental, right? You hear the only, it's kind of annoying. That's siloing. No, you want to blend them all together. You want to blend it all. So, hey, you know what? Here's what's going to happen with a $100,000 example with the short term, but hey, I've attached an accident policy. Oh, and you know what? I've also added a critical illness just in case you get diagnosed with one of 15 life-threatening illnesses. I'm going to go through how it works when you go to the doctor. Right after that, I'm going to go how it works when you go to a dentist. Then I'm going to go through how the short term is going to pay with lab benefits. Do you see how it kind of gets layered in, and then all of a sudden you have this really nice weave? That's why I'm saying when you do fact finding, at the end you have to have all of your policies pulled up. Yes, you're going to let them know that, hey, they're all billed separately. I want my client to know that. You know, I want to be transparent that they're all billed separately. But the way I'm building it is I'm building this concept, this package for them, this bundle for them. Depending on what state you're in, you can't use that word. But this concept for them, so they understand what they're getting. I want them to know how every aspect of it works. Here's the biggest part. If you can take one thing away from this webinar, one thing, I want you to take this, okay? Don't give them the price. Don't give them the price. Do not give them the price until you get a confirmation on benefits, okay? This part, it's really uncomfortable if you've never done it before. But once you start doing it, you're going to notice that your closes are actually going to increase pretty drastically. What you're going to do is you are going to get a yes to benefits. What I do is I go through and I present all of my policies, okay? I go through all my policies and I stop. And then I ask, so okay, we went through all the benefits. Are these the benefits that are going to work for you or you and your family, depending who you're talking to? So are these the benefits that are going to work for you? And what is going to be their first thing? Well, it depends on how much it costs. Every time you're like, yes, you know what, I completely understand. And the nice thing is, you know, you told me that we had to keep it within $500. I've kept this comfortably under $500 for you, but I want you to throw that out the window. I need to hear, you know, do these benefits work for you? Are these the exact benefits you are looking for? And then I wait for a yes. It's a really good part to also shut up. Let them do the talking. They'll do some talking. They'll do some debating out loud, but I do not move on without a yes. Because some people say, you know what, it sounds really good, but I'm worried about. That's awesome. That's what you want. You don't want to wait to the close to sit there and hear, well, I'm worried about. This is where you want to hear about it. This is where, you know what, you told them it's customizable. Okay, so that's something you're concerned about, going to the doctor. Well, I got this new, you know, the hospital expense product there through National General. You know, you can add them on to that, which is going to give them the $275 doctor visits. Great. This is where you can hear what their concerns on. So do these benefits work for you, period. Even if they say, yeah, absolutely, these are exactly what I'm looking for. Great. Well, and then we move on to price. This is where we can make changes if needed. This is where you're going to stop. This is where you're going to overcome your objections. It seems kind of silly. Everybody says, well, you know what? I've been to a 5-day overcoming objection seminar. You know, we worked through all of Zig Ziglar's ways of overcoming objections. I have these huge boxing gloves. I want to punch everybody in the face. No, that's not the way this works. I want my client to feel comfortable. I don't want them to feel like it's war, because if it's war, yeah, we're going to win. But guess what? They're gonna win in the long run because they can just call and cancel the policy. That's not what we want. We want to make sure these benefits are right. When they sit there and they purchase, then they're going to feel great. Do these benefits work for you? And then shut up. If they say yes, when they say yes, and I will tell you, do not move on without a yes. You will wait there with a yes. If they will not say yes, I will tell you I will not actually give them the price. I'm a little more extreme, but I will not give them the price. I don't want to give them the price because I want them to think about it. I want them to make sure that it's right. I get paid on retention. I want my clients to find the exact policy they're looking for. The reason why I do what I do is I want to make sure my clients are comfortable, that they can go to sleep at night knowing if the big what if happens, that I went and helped them. When they tell me, I just give them a price. Great. And you know what? The great news is that this policy came in at $470, so under your $500 budget. And the next step in the process is to complete the application. What I'm going to do is just collect a few more pieces of demographic information from you. And then we're going to go through and fill out a few applications. So can I ask, what is your middle initial? What did I do? I closed them and I kept moving. I'm going to go through demographic information that, yeah, may or may not be on some of the applications. Yeah, I may or may not have already collected it, because you can say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to do and go through and confirm some of your demographic information. Can you spell your last name again for me? I want to make sure it's right on the ID cards. Just keep moving. Move into one of the applications. Just keep rolling. Don't stop and be like, okay, great. So we're going to fill out some applications. Let me pull some things up. Just wait a minute. That silence is where you're going to get any objection. It's gut reaction. It's gut reaction. Depends on, you know, even if they found the absolute perfect policy and they love it to death and, you know, they're the happiest person in the world, human nature is to object right after you said yes to something if there is any silence. So just keep moving. You give them the price, move into it. Also make sure that you let them know that everything's billed separately, because that's an important thing. That's why people cancel, but that's how you do it. Pretty easy, kind of a sales technique as far as it goes with the presentation. You're going to do the recommendation. You're going to go through some big examples. You're going to go through every day, tie in those supplements. You're going to get a confirmation of benefits. Do these benefits work for you? And then you're going to give them the price. It's an easy way to avoid objections. It's a really easy way to avoid objections. I've been doing the sales process now for quite some time. I have a lot of my agents are doing the sales process, and it works great for them. If you have any questions about it, you can always email training@ahcpsales.com. If you're wondering about getting contracted with other carriers like Colorado Bankers Life, like we talked about, the number to agency services is there at the bottom. And I thought we'd end it with a really nice quote there. So every sales call, from a cold call until a closing call, should follow a pre-planned structure that is meant to optimize the likelihood of a desired result. That is what we're doing. We're trying to go through, we're going to build our sales process so we will have success. We have to plan it out. I know none of us want to be scripted. I follow bullet points. I have bullet points, stupid little handout of bullet points that help me make sure I'm going through what I want. I do a lot of phone sales because, you know what, with phone sales I can turn around more clients than I can doing face-to-face, but if you do face-to-face, that's fine. This way I can make sure I'm following the same pattern. Because if my clients are falling off, I want to figure out where they're falling off. So if I'm doing consistency, I can change consistency. If you need anything, if you need any help, always contact training@ahcpsales.com. You can say, hey, Dan, I have some questions. My name is Dan Giancola. I am the training manager here at AHCP. If you need anything, let me know. If not, I hope you took at least one or two great things away from this. I hope everybody here has a great Monday.